Greetings, dear ones. It is Friday, September 10th. I have longed to say that and at the same time have been pushing back on it. Meaning, I love the fall, but time is moving so quickly. And as we all know, from here on in, it moves even faster between now and the end of the year. Had a little blip there, not sure if we started at the begin mark. So just to reiterate, it is September 10th, 2021, and it seems like yesterday that it was February 10th. And yet at the same time, I'm thrilled. I love fall. I love fall colors. I love the land and what happens to the land as it prepares to move into winter. I think it's been my favorite season wherever I've lived. So I am thrilled to say September, but at the same time, pushing back on that fast speed. So today, this week has been very, very interesting. The amount of, and I know when we all know when you click on something, they're going to bring you more of that. However, I'm also signed into or receive science journals, science magazines around physics and biology and neuropsychology and on and on. And astronomy as well, which is really significant because we are all intertwined and interrelated. There is no separation, actually, when we do look into matter. And more than anything, I think today what has been coming forward so strongly is consciousness. And for me and the work that I've been involved in and teaching and bringing forward for the past 20 something years is a form of what's referred to as panpsychism. And panpsychism is recognizing the consciousness in and through all things. Now, science won't go so far as to acknowledge consciousness, say, in a tree or in a bush, but those of us who have learned how to truly be in relationship with and in communication and commune with aspects of this earth know very well the not only intelligence but an awareness. Consciousness is often described as an awareness of self. And when you are able to drop in deeply enough to not only acknowledge the beingness in another, whether it's aspect of nature, animal, cloud, bird, insect, cell, then you are able to, it's a whole nother level, but you are eventually able to feel that being feeling you. And that brings consciousness to a wholly different level. And I've been struck all week, several different sources have popped in with what I refer to as our multi-existentialism, meaning that we are concurrently existing in multiple realities at the same time. And even if you look at it from what's referred to as a past life perspective, old souls in particular, spiritual seekers, those working on a mastery, are very aware of having had other experiences. Now, one can look at that as well through the eyes of genetics, in that your ancestors have experienced different lives, different aspects of the human experience, and you carry that within your DNA. But I have too many clients and too many colleagues who have tapped into existences where they were non-human, um, either experiencing life as an animal or experiencing life as a gaseous or in the gaseous state as a gas. It is a bit challenging if you have not done a certain level of transformation and transmutation of your human self. And that's what's always so exciting to me, and what my passion is in helping people delve deeper and deeper and deeper in what appear to be issues, but are in fact the emotional maps you left yourself to be able to explore more deeply, accessing the portals to these other existences of you. And for me, the whole purpose of that is to be able to channel that knowledge, that experience, those abilities, those skills from other existences into and through your daily life for not only the betterment of your life, but also as influences in the reconstruction of this planet. Reconfiguration would be a better word, into a new way. And that's the struggle, and that's the fight that we've had for several, probably close to a couple thousand years. Is there has always been a push from those holding the power to negate science, to discredit science, to diminish the findings or the scientists themselves. If you know your history, you'll see that happening. Galileo, just we can go on and on and on and name many, many scientists who were oftentimes destroyed given their scientific perspective that was in conflict with what the religious authorities wanted to maintain as a perspective or as a philosophy. Because with that old structure, there has to be someone or some organization through which you access the greater intelligence, if you will, the divinity, the underlying oneness. And if you have to go through a particular body, organization, or person, then you are constantly under their not only control, but under their ability to determine your reality and require you to pay or toe the line or in some way, shape, or form go along with a way of being that benefits those in control. So there is still to this very day, not only by religious groups, but by that very small percentage of people that hold the majority of financial control, even attempting at this point to continue to maintain control over our freedoms. And it's a fine line that we're riding right now, because science is not the be all end all, but it is an avenue by which we continue to question and seek answers and find more out about ourselves. And those of you who have followed this work or done any individual work with me know that for me, the answer to everything is know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. And that means many different levels, many different aspects. And the deeper you know yourself, the more there is to explore beyond even your humanness or human experience. So I think last week was probably, I received more input from scientific sources in such a wide range of breakthroughs and discoveries that are literally world shattering. And yet, this is not in the mainstream. There may be on some news sources a little blip of information, but there are constant breakthroughs and advances being made in every discipline of science. Last week I read about a way in which sunlight is able to break down the plastic, the microplastic in the sea, in marine bodies, marine and oceans. And this is very exciting because we do have a major issue with microplastics being in our waters, being in the water we drink, in our foods, everything. And this is not a healthy product. It is not something that benefits our bodies. So there has to be ways to source it out and break it down. And it seems like an insurmountable problem. But when we have science looking at ways from every different angle to resolve the problems that we have, it is not only hopeful, not only brings a great deal of hope, but is very exciting because it then sparks our own ideas and imagination for what this world can be, what our own lives can be. So we have a very, I've spoken about this before, but it seems to maybe even be coming to a head at this point of whether we're going to recognize and acknowledge and adopt the discoveries that are made from everything from how COVID works and how it's modifying on a consistent basis when we do not have herd immunity, to a fusion device. I spoke about this, I mentioned this a couple sessions ago, but a marriage of several different scientific disciplines have created a potential for a fusion device that they expect can be in effect in 2025. That's 3 short years away, a little over 3 short years away, which would create an inexhaustible source of energy, and that it can be employed anywhere at any time. So it doesn't have to be in, from one particular place, like a factory that churns out a certain amount of electricity. It is a mind-boggling potential for our planet. But we also have to look at, as I said, we are moving from a pyramidal structure society, not only society but planet, where the very, very few hold control of the resources, finances, etc. at the top. And the more people are educated, the more we are aware of what is available, what science is discovering and creating every single day, the more we are able to incorporate not only that knowledge in our daily life, but to actually have the ability, the freedom to make certain choices. The small little group at the top want to maintain a world economy based on exhaustible resources, i.e., coal, petroleum, other fuels that one can own and control and distribute and determine the pricing of, because that maintains that small group in financial and political and physical control. But as people come to have more knowledge, and that is the absolutely breathtaking beauty of free internet, and why we must at all costs look at, particularly in this country, laws and rules and attempts to limit the freedom of that internet. That is what is advancing, one of the things that's advancing societies around the world, is the access to knowledge, access to education. And as this happens, that pyramid that I keep referring to, the base gets wider and wider and wider, more fluid, more freedom, more movement, and that literally collapses the pyramid. And what the new form of the new age, the new earth rather, will be is a circle with a dot in the center. And if you look at yourself as that dot, and in your immediate reach you have your family, your friends, your co-workers, your different communities, and those are the people that you have immediate reach to, and they have immediate reach to you. But if you spread your influence, let's say, through knowledge that you're sharing, or a gift or an ability that you're sharing, or perhaps financially supporting different sustainable groups or conservation groups, then your circle gets wider and wider, and you have more reach in your city, your town, your state, your country, and out to the world. At this point in time, commerce is moving back and forth, and it will be more and more from individual to individual versus from large corporations or groups to others around the world. And that's, again, one of the wondrous things of the pandemic. I know that sounds strange. I will say it again and again. It has brought many, many gifts and will continue to do so. That people are finding that they want to follow their passion more. They don't want to sit in a cubicle and follow a path that they cannot even necessarily determine for themselves, but that someone above them decides their fate. So we're still, kind of teetering on this edge of going forward or backward. There are strong pulls backward to the old way of being. But more and more, again, in all the sciences, different sciences are discovering consciousness actually does create our reality. And there is more and more evidence. We find science returning now, particularly the psychiatric, psychological, sociological disciplines, to experiences that will allow for that wider view. Now, for many, many years, there have been a large group of people going down to South America, Central America, and exploring through ayahuasca or various other psychedelic plant methods to have that experience of a very wide consciousness experience, or have that experience of a very wide consciousness view. And now science is moving back towards that to allow for not just the expansion of consciousness, but to allow someone to feel and realize their deeper being and whatever they may call a spiritual experience or a spiritual connection. So, that again, if science is going towards that direction, the old guard, if you will, want to squash that and keep it from being accessible to people. Because if you have a profound spiritual experience within or through yourself, it then puts in question some of the organized religious groups where you must follow their tenets. You must financially support and back that organization. So this struggle is all through science and or all through our society around science. Not just our society, this is worldwide. There has been, for quite a few, probably the last couple generations, an even stronger push to silence some of the more cutting edge scientific discoveries that border on science fiction. And it is up to each of us to continue to seek out and to explore our own decisions, our own choices, our own feelings about findings. That doesn't mean to say, and please don't get me wrong, I am not saying that science is the answer. As a matter of fact, there are many, many, many distortions within science, the scientific community. Again, how that's structured, very much pyramidal as well. But, some of this today, actually, in one of a news article that I read, the Nobel Prize, or not the Nobel Prize, but many smaller prizes were being awarded to kind of quirky science. And one does have to question the dedication of time and money to such explorations as the origin of beards was one of them, and that their findings were that in ancient times and throughout even now, that beards actually soften the blow when in battle, and that this may be the reason why many warriors sported beards. So while that's fascinating on one hand, one could say that money and that time and that energy and that imagination could have been dedicated to something else. But when someone has a question, like wondering, it is of benefit to all that they explore whatever answers they can find. It doesn't mean it's the answer. Someone else may find that there was a completely different reason. Another kind of silly, one would say, look at, but was recognized, was whether having sex actually benefited the respiratory system and congestion. And they did find that having sexual intercourse with orgasm did clear out the sinuses. Now, they also found that it was very difficult for people to pay attention to the apparatus that they had rigged up to be able to measure this. Bringing in a little bit of levity, but it is a very serious subject that science must be protected. It must be acknowledged. It must be our next adventure in human expansion. Because I know that deep down inside most people, we are very aware that we are not the only ones in the universe. And it is vital that we evolve our mental, emotional, spiritual, and social levels to be able to make decisions that science and technology are bringing forth. And if we are not mature enough to look at something from multiple angles and make that choice, either individually or collectively, then we are in danger of succumbing to the misuse or distortion of that technology and science. Not to mention the fact that if we are not morally, mentally, spiritually, emotionally more evolved, then those that are going to come from other planets, galaxies, what have you, will be met with a very potentially primitive culture versus theirs. And how that will turn out is potentially like other societies that were more advanced, taking over cultures that did not have those technological and other possibilities. Just checking my notes. So it is of benefit that you do listen and do question and do explore what is it being advanced by the many different disciplines. And one of the key the key aspect right now, or the key focus right now, is on our climate and loss of biodiversity. Everyone keeps talking about emissions, and while that is absolutely vital, as I mentioned last week, our atmosphere is the only thing protecting us from the radiation from the sun and burning up. So this isn't just, oh, it's going to get warmer and we're going to have to use more air conditioning. This is actually our lives depend on. And even more affected for me and all that I've been seeing is the attack on biodiversity, because there is a very intricate and very sophisticated circle of life, and it is held in by a wide variety of pins, so to speak, and when you pull enough of those pins out, it collapses. So it isn't just a question of, oh, it's a shame the monarch butterflies aren't going to be around anymore. They hold a key position in maintaining a certain plant variety that maintains our soil. That, I mean, it just, one thing feeds into the other. We cannot lose much more diversity before that circle collapses. So it more than behooves us to find out what's going on. It is absolutely vital as determinant for whether we are going to continue to exist after a generation or two. My information coming through the ancients, which is an intergalactic council of advisors that have been overseeing this evolutionary process of the human species for quite some time, indicate that we are in process of stepping forward, and that we still have time to be able to change things around. And that really entails becoming aware of. And that's what this whole, everyone speaks about consciousness, becoming more conscious, becoming more conscious. Well, that doesn't mean simply being able to have a deeper spiritual connection. That may be part of it. But it is really being aware of the other, whether the other is someone within your family who completely disagrees with your perspective on life, or whether it is another group of people who tend to believe the old ways and want to hold on to them out of fear and lack of security and sense of themselves, needing outer authorities, parental forms of protection, or parental substitutes for that fear and security that they're experiencing. And so my question to you today is, because when we are looking at so many limitless possibilities, you as a conscious human, divine being in human form, have the potential to create your reality, to design your life, and design, therefore, the world around you. And so I invite you today, as we drop in, to really let the braces off of your brain. And when you tap into the deeper levels of you and call in your spiritual advisors, masters, teachers, guides, allowing them to bring you a sense of accompaniment and belonging and support, which would enable your imagination to completely go wild. If there were no limits, what would you create? One of the oracle cards that I pulled today was Universal Love and Support. And in it, it spoke of my partner, the universe, and being able to claim and accept that constant influx of awareness that you are not only not alone, but that you are accompanied, that you are helped, that you are advised, that you are shown, that you are led, that you are guided. Because that's how it's set up. It's only when we narrow ourselves into this 3D human frame that has been in the past that we believe that's all that there can be. So I invite you now to find your sits bones and really just sit firmly on them, allowing the chair, the couch, whatever you may be upon, to do the work of holding you up. And if you just notice your shoulder blades and allow them to slide together a little bit and down, which will open up your chest, enabling your diaphragm to have more space to breathe. And it also then puts your skeletal structure in a position that allows you to let go of the need to sit up, the need to maintain some upright position. Your body knows how to do that for you so that you can allow your consciousness to drop down and within you, wherein lies all the answers, all the information you need, all the assurance, all the proof. And taking a couple of nice deep breaths, not forcing, but just being aware that as you allow more oxygen to come down within your body, it also brings a sense of softening and more ability to allow for your wider self and your energy field to lead you down and within you. And this is a bit of a different process than normal meditation, that you go through your third eye and your higher mind and out. I'm inviting you to explore your inner verse, your internal world. And again, just allowing the oxygen to move and travel throughout your entire body. You may even be able to sensate some of that movement, and just being curious. For curiosity is key, not only in self-discovery, but as I've been sharing today, in discoveries that can benefit and truly move forward our species. Nothing you need do, no effort really. This is a process where you are allowing the deeper wisdom of your wider self, your energy field, your body, your guides and teachers and masters, to do the work for you. It is often the hardest thing in the world to let go and let God or the divine aspects of you, or whatever you want to refer to, that greater, wider intelligence, life force. And I'm going to continue to speak so that you are aware that there's still a connection. And if I become quiet, you may notice the music in the background, just so you're aware of a continued connection. However, you need not follow the words or concepts with your mind. Simply allow my voice to be a transmitter for the energetics that have come forward at this point in time. To assist, to guide, to lead, to reveal. You may experience yourself getting heavier and heavier in the chair. This is wonderful. You may even feel yourself falling off or nodding off to sleep. Allow this to happen, as it is your system bringing you into a deeper or altered state, so that the transmission of energetics exactly right for you. For there is always the Supreme Council of Universal Spiritual Law overseeing each and every one of these encounters, these deep dives. So that nothing which is not exactly right for your system at this point in time So we do have a great deal of universal energies here today. Inviting each and every one to open to a limitless, boundless, experience within. Each are eternal beings, timeless, with utter and complete free will. With millions of opportunities. This is a time of great potentials. Potentials for each individual, potentials for each country, each culture. Potentials for each species upon this earth and connected to and through this earth. Perhaps you have always been fascinated by time travel or those stories and programs and movies that allow for travel to other worlds and other realms and other times. Trust your curiosity, trust your interests, trust your fascination. Let your imagination run wild, run free, widen, without the confines of your conscious mind. Like by simply stating or wishing or imagining would make it so. What might you design for yourself, your family, your body, your community, your country, your planet? What if? What if? Allow yourself to sink another level deeper within. Nothing you need do to make that happen. Merely soften and allow the wisdom of your wider self and your energy field to experience the universe within you. The universe where any and all realities are possible. Where the box of time and space and what has been fall away. Where money is no object, time is no object. But instead, where what you wish for occurs, in a moment. Feel the wide openness. Limitless possibilities. In a field of potentials. And the deeper you are able to drop down within your inner universe, your innerverse, and feel those potentials and possibilities. The more you are imprinting them, allowing for the non-physical to become physical. You need not know how a seed becomes a plant or a tree, but simply choose the seed that you wish to grow. Take time this weekend as we change into a new rhythm and a new cycle and new pace as we're moving towards the official season change. Cleanse and eliminate, whether it is in your physical body, your physical environment, your mental ideas of what is possible based on precedent. Or the past. Allow yourself to fly free. Drop in again and again and again into this field of limitless potential that you are intertwined with, that you have access to in any given moment. And without completely leaving that beautiful field of potential, I invite you to allow energy field in your wider self to move you from a wider state of you back to a more physical, confined form by 3 dimensions, but not disconnecting entirely. Allow that energy to continue to run through you. Allow yourself to not just imagine, but visualize through. I had the great pleasure of stumbling onto Marvel's new Disney Plus show, What If? And the opening sequence I'm going to post from YouTube as I post this video. And it's a great visual of a prism and being shattered into millions of pieces. And then, of course, the show is creating stories around what if, Captain America wasn't as in the original comic book, but instead someone else became Captain America, and on, different variations. And that is very accurate from all that I've experienced, and from the council, who's constantly showing me the really countless numbers of potentials for us as souls throughout our eternal experience. So I invite you to watch that, or time travel shows. Sliders is an old one you can probably pull up and find, where they're moving in and out of other realities trying to get back to their own. Quantum Leap is another. I can't come up with, off the top of my head, any current ones, but I'm sure there are. And all of those fantasy books and movies and shows, what is to say that those are not real, and instead of coming from someone's imagination, they are merely channeling a previous experience or tapping into another existence that they've opened a portal to? Think about it, feel into it. And more than anything, I invite you to write down or draw or mold with clay something that represents the possibilities that you dream of for your body, for your family, for your career or creative expression, for your community, for your town, city, state, country, for this planet. And that's what will be created. So, as always, it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence on the planet. Until next time, bye-bye.